I'm just like disengaged and floating, and I just feel so happy, and I've never felt this way about someone before. I've never felt so excited and all the butterflies and so happy, but also so confident, because I feel like this is the woman I'm going to marry. And I've only been dating her for less than a week. So I cannot say that to her, but that's why I'm saying it to this camera. It's wise not to share everything, but also it's like, you want to you want to share it. I don't know what's going to happen, but I've got a really good feeling about this relationship, and I think that's how good documentary filmmakers pick what they're going to document, if they've got a good feeling. So my plan, already before I met her, was to move to New York City in August. And that is like 6 months from now. It's February 3rd today. Anyways, the plan is document our inner worlds for these 6 months, our hopes, our fears, everything we can't say to each other. And then see if something cool happens, I guess. Something I can't say to her is that I'm pretty sure I'm going to marry her if I marry anybody in this world. I think I love her, and I'm pretty sure we're going to end up together. So I'm not really that worried. I don't have that many fears, but that's why I'm documenting my inner world, because there might be more later, or there might not be. Or maybe this will be really boring because the whole time I'll just be saying, yes, I know this is it. We're going to get married. And then we do. Or it'll be so tragic the way this is starting out with me saying all these things, because it will not end very happy. And that would be so sad, but beautiful to watch. So I don't know. And if you're watching this, you don't know either. And we're going to find out. I think maybe you can only be that confident once or twice in your life. So far, my 2 phases of life have been confident boy and scared little man. But confidence and love come together. My observation has been that when life presents you with an opportunity to love again, you are also given the confidence to love again. Part of this is chemical. Nature is always conspiring to try to make me have babies. So you could explain it away with that. But for me, I know that there's more to it. I want to be in love. I might want it more than I want anything else. So when given the chance, it takes very little encouragement for me to convince myself that I am in fact in love. And maybe that's not a bad thing. Falling in love is terrifying. It's life or death. A little confidence is required, even if it's not necessarily based on anything concrete or factual. I think the birth of a relationship ought to be a chemical and emotional confidence explosion. And I used to measure love by that confidence. But I don't think that's right, because obviously that confidence is often pretty misguided in my experience. I'm starting to wonder if real love blossoms when I'm not so sure, but I take a step forward anyways because I want to. Not because I'm 100% confident that it's written in the stars we're meant to be together, but because I want to be together. And maybe it is written in the stars. How am I supposed to know? Obviously, this is the worst advice I could give to someone in a bad relationship. And that's the tricky part about talking about love, is that it's like one of the only things in the world that's just totally subjective, it feels like. Every love story is different. Everybody experiences love differently. Love is too vast and complex to define. And that is why this is a documentary and not an essay. Because this is my experience, not my advice. I have no right to give anyone advice about love, in my opinion. But I guess you can watch my story and decide for yourself. So, it's Valentine's Day, 2023, and things are going really well, I would say. I still love her, and I still think we're going to get married, and that's pretty clear. That's becoming more and more clear as we talk. Like, all the things in the past that I've talked to girls about, and all the things they learned about me or I learned about them that were red flags and things had to end, like, all of that is going perfect. There hasn't been anything that's like a deal breaker. In fact, the more we talk, the more it's like, I don't know that there is going to be any deal breakers, because it seems like there's so much care and affection that even if there was something, that we would be able to work through it. Once I move there in August, and as long as, I'll probably know after we're able to spend like 2 weeks of time in person together. Absolutely 100% sure, but I'm like 95% sure now. Well, I'm like 100% sure now. I just have to be smart, and I have to look like I'm trying to be smart. So we'll spend some time together in person, and then there just won't be any more questions left to answer. And for me, once you've answered all the questions, then there's no point. As Harry says in When Harry Met Sally, once you've met the person you want to spend the rest of your life with, you want the rest of your life to begin as soon as possible. So that's where I'm at. Brodo, you got anything to say? He's a stinker. He's covered in mud right now. Thank God I at least tried to look smart on the outside. God knows what would have happened if I hadn't even been doing that. Dating your dream girl is awesome. The scary part is if you fail to realize that she might be more than just your dream girl. Everybody has their inner world that I can't find a shortcut into understanding. There is no shortcut to understanding it. It just takes time, which is annoying, and honesty, which is also hard. I'm aware of my own tendency to try to become somebody else's fantasy, to over-accommodate in relationships. But I failed to realize that somebody else might ever want to do the same thing for me. And it feels like bliss for a short period of time. There's no conflict, no work, just everything you need right when you need it. It's awesome. But it's not everything, because it's not necessarily real. Lately, I've found myself getting angry, grumbling to myself, being in a bad mood, cussing sometimes more. That never happens in a fantasy. But it's real. It's a kind of realness that only comes out of me when I feel safe. Safe enough to fight, or safe enough to have conflict. So I'm starting to think that maybe bliss isn't the best sign for a maturing relationship. Maybe there's more love in expressing our bad feelings instead of swallowing them. Because it means we're fighting to understand each other instead of just trying to change to accommodate each other. Maybe my dream girl isn't all she's cracked up to be. Okay. So, it's March 1st, I think. Yeah. February is over, so that's cool. Things are still going well. Feelings have not changed. They've grown. They haven't diminished, which is good. Still really like her. Love her. But stuff has happened. So there was this one time I was starting to like this girl, and I ended up getting really sick, super sick, and I realized that I didn't want her around for that. And I realized I liked her around when things were like fun and good, but when shit hits the fan, didn't want her there. And so I guess that's what I'm wondering right now with her, how she's going to feel about, am I someone she wants to be, a fun friend to talk about the fun stuff and be involved with the fun stuff, or in this like hard thing, is she going to want me in that too, which is something deeper, and that's up to her to decide. Life is suffering. My less philosophical way of saying that is this. Life seems to be about 50% shit hitting the fan. That's my percentage. So for me, I want to know how my person handles that. It's a big part of dating for me. What do they do with the shit after it hits the fan? Where does it go? Where do they put it? I don't know if I can really trust someone before I see them in a situation where things aren't going their way. Maybe that makes me a little psycho, but it's how I am. My mom always says, you don't know someone until you tell them no. Everybody has different ways of dealing with pain. Obviously, I want to be strong, and I want my person to be strong. But sometimes strength doesn't look like how I expect it to look. Sometimes it looks like weakness. And sometimes what looks to me like strength might actually be weakness. It's not always easy for me to tell what someone does with their pain and where it's going. It's another one of those annoying things that just takes time to figure out and understand. But one thing seems to hold true. Pain has got to go somewhere. In my experience, if you love somebody, it's really important to find out where it's coming out. This is where I live. Boone. Sun just came out. Fun story about the parkway. Well, actually kind of important to this documentary. On my 18th birthday, I decided to watch the sunrise that morning. I climbed up on this mountain with my dog Frodo way too early. I did not look up when the sunrise was, and I was just like shivering up there in the cold for a while. And then I decided this is just not worth it. I'm gonna go back to my car. It's warm. Frodo's really cold. So I went back down to my car and just drove and parked somewhere and watched the sunrise once it finally came up. Since then, I've done that every year. Not climb a mountain, but watch the sunrise in my car somewhere on the parkway. For 19, I had just started a new relationship with this girl, and I was really excited about it, and I invited her to come with me. And she came, and it was all fog. It was just completely, you couldn't see anything at all. And I was like, inwardly I was like, is this a bad sign? It was. By my 20th birthday, once again, I was like, why don't you come with me? Come see the sunrise on my birthday morning. We went to see the sunrise, all fog. Just fog again. By that point, you start to wonder. Yeah, so anyways, we broke up a couple months after that, which was a very good thing. And by my 21st birthday, I went out again, expecting fog at that point, and it was just a perfect, beautiful sunrise, and I got to see it. And I thought, this is confirmation that I'm on the right track. I'm a man of faith, so I see all the signs. I believe in that kind of thing. So it's March 2nd. My birthday is March 18th, and I'm gonna go see the sunrise. I'm wondering if I'm going to see it this year. And if I do, it's a good sign. If I don't know what I'll think about that. But Didn't steer me wrong with the last girl I was dating, so we'll see. It's pretty beautiful with or without the sunrise, though. I'm someone who looks for signs. And I think it's a pretty common impulse in love to look for signs. She loves me not. It's such a confusing and difficult process deciding to love somebody. It's an easy instinct to just want to offload the decision making to the universe or God or your friends or your family. A sign. I'm guilty of all of those, by the way. But at the end of the day, I think I see the signs I want to see. If a cloudy day is making me panic about my relationship, then maybe I was already panicking about my relationship, and now I just have an external reason to blame it on. Signs are something on the outside that help us unlock something that we had on the inside, I think. And that doesn't make signs fake or meaningless. I still look for signs, and I still thank God whenever I see them. But I've learned not to give too much responsibility to signs, because the real decision making has to happen in there. The old heart. Faith is one of the most powerful tools we have as human beings, I think. I use faith all the time, every day, to try to make sense of the seemingly random things that happen to me every day. I think we have the truest faith when it is invested in something unprovable.
Can you prove any of this?
No, absolutely not. A good conspiracy is an unprovable one.
It's unprovable whether or not my girlfriend is my soulmate, but it certainly helps to believe that she might be, for the purpose of our relationship thriving and growing and being healthy. And if we're ever to get married, then that will be an essential belief, I think. There are just some things that you can never prove, but you just gotta believe them because your life is so improved by them. They're not lies, but they're not facts either. And we shouldn't ask them to be. But I try to believe them like they are. I don't think it's wrong to interpret meaning onto the randomness of life. I think it's actually essential for survival. And for me, it's essential for love. Thank God for God. Good morning. It is March 16th, and I'm cow sitting this weekend. Things are still going really good, I think. I think it's starting to get a little more real, you know? I know before I'd mentioned kind of being scared of like, if she was still gonna like me once she got over the kind of magical first few weeks or month or so. Honestly, I started being less scared of it and actually really looking forward to it, you know, because I feel like there's a kind of fun, you can have more fun and like laugh together more when you're less googly-eyed, you know? I feel like we're kind of transitioning between when all you ever say is like you're kind of weighing every word to make sure you don't say something weird or say something that like might potentially cause tension or conflict or disagreement. We're kind of transitioning from that phase to the phase of like being able to say more exactly what you think and not worry about that. And so I'm kind of waiting for her to open up in that way a little bit more, because I feel like I can still tell she's kind of weighing her words all the time, and you can't be close to someone unless you're willing to risk hurting them. And so that's kind of what I've asked of her, and I'm looking forward to. I don't think she's going to not do that, but I don't know. She's still trying to gain that confidence that I'm not gonna go anywhere when that happens, you know? And I want her to feel confident in that. And it just takes time, and it takes time to build that trust, which is okay. That's okay. Just gotta be patient. There's this classic episode of The Twilight Zone called The Chaser that's based on this short story written by Jacob Collier in 1940. John Collier in 1940. Anyways, this guy buys a love potion to give to the love of his life because she just doesn't care about him. And she gives it to her, and she goes crazy about him. And eventually he's driven crazy by her constant, intense affection and attachment and adoration of him. It drives him crazy. Obviously, it's a great cautionary tale because I think I watched it when I was like 8 years old on daytime TV, and it stuck with me all these years. I think it's a pretty common fantasy to want somebody to be obsessed with you, to want to become everything for you. I definitely wanted that when I was younger. And if I'm being honest, the fantasy still crosses my mind occasionally. But here's a truism that I am becoming intimately acquainted with lately. I don't know what the hell I want. And I have no clue what's good for me. I've gotten what I thought I wanted a few times and ended up feeling like the guy in the Twilight Zone. It turns out I find authenticity way hotter than conformity. And I don't mean authentic the way older people use it, when they're just using it as a veiled way to call somebody weird. They're authentic. I mean it in the way of somebody who sticks up for themselves and is true to themselves. When somebody takes up space. Agreeability pales in comparison to vulnerability. Obviously, right? When I articulated this clearly, it seems obvious. But when you're living it, maybe it's still obvious. I'm just dumb. Of course, authenticity is a bit more uncomfortable than conformity. It requires honesty and vulnerability and some pain. But I think really knowing someone might be the most exhilarating adventure that there is. That makes it worth pain. Theoretically, I guess. So I just dropped off at the airport, Charlotte Airport, to go back home after this fun surprise birthday weekend. Did not know she was coming. It was really, really fun and good and felt really, really good. Like as soon as she rounded the corner out of sight, I was just like, I don't know where I am. That's how I felt. Like really small. And in this big airport with a bunch of people running places, and I was like, I don't know where to go. And it may be a fluke, but I just feel like it just felt so right being together. I feel silly, but I'm just letting this out. I know there's still parts of her that are still growing more comfortable around me and that I haven't gotten to see yet. Maybe she doesn't feel like it was the best weekend of her life. Probably not, but I just never had somebody love me like that. It's just, it went by really way too fast. I'm so young and dumb and naive. I know. But all the song lyrics of love songs are making sense right now. I gotta turn this off. Oh. Hello there. I gotta find you in here. Well, this is embarrassing. That dude was down bad. acting like he was in a movie or something. It feels good to act like you're in a movie sometimes, though. Maybe that's why I make these videos. Measuring what is and isn't real love is a habit I'm pretty preoccupied with. I think maybe a lot of people are. I think it would be pretty hard to say that I wasn't feeling something real in that video. I remember feeling it. I think it was real. But I also know that there's a troubling amount of young women in this country who would genuinely take a bullet for Taylor Swift. And people would pass out when they saw Elvis or the Beatles and just lose their minds. That is an other-focused, passionate, sacrificial love. That's a real kind of love. Misguided, certainly, but real. All I know is I wasn't acting in that video. But I wonder if there's a phase of my love that's a bit more like fanaticism. I don't know what the difference exactly is between that and a more real love. But I think it probably feels different to Taylor Swift when someone who knows how she slept the night before tells her that they love her. Intimacy is the difference, I guess. And I think intimacy has to be earned. Yeah. Intimacy is far more difficult. April 20th. What am I thinking? Okay, start over. It is April 20th, 420, baby. And a lot has happened. A lot has happened. Ooh, I should have been recording more of it. But it's like, do you document it more or do you live it more? Because the more time you spend documenting it, the less time you spend living it, right? So things are still going good, really good, better than ever. I didn't end up seeing the sunrise on my birthday because my brother was like, I got a surprise for you and we have to leave really early on your birthday morning. We went on our journey, we pulled up to the Charlotte airport and he was like, do you know why we're here? And I was like, I think so, but I didn't want to say it in case I didn't need to get my hopes up, but he was like, they had bought her a plane ticket. So she came here on March 18th, my birthday, and wow, I didn't have time to get nervous about it. Pretty awesome. She stayed for the whole weekend, and I drove her back to the Charlotte airport on Monday. So a lot happened. I can't go into everything that happened on that trip, but the overall feeling was, wow, we are really good together, and I like being with you, and I never want you to leave. And then I had to take her to the airport. I took a video of that, me crying, sobbing like a baby. Then we had to endure about 3 weeks, and then I got to go up to New York City with my family for a kind of work-related thing we were doing, and got to see her then. So that was really awesome too, and a lot of wonderful stuff happened. So we got those 2 visits in person. The in-person's clicking really well, I'd say. Long distance, man, it's just hard. And there's some fears, I think, that creep in with it. Like, am I me when I'm with her? Do I feel like myself? Or when I get really comfortable around her, she's still gonna like me? Am I still gonna be who she wants to be with? And she's a very beautifully sincere person. But sometimes I fear, because I've been quite a cynical person in my life at some points, and I have some fear about, like, what if I grow to be cynical about her sincerity? I guess it's one of those things you have to wait and see, but for now, my decision is that I've known for a long time And I know now that sincerity is better than cynicism. As in terms of being a person, what attitude you're going to have in order to have a good and enjoyable life, sincerity is far better than cynicism. And so if that rough edge of me needs to wear off, or is going to wear off being with her, I'll let it. I think that's what I decided. I'll let that happen. I don't know. I think I can see ahead, and I can see what we could be together, and I like it. And it's not everything I could be with another person, you know? It's about choosing, I think, what future you want to be. And I think I want to be that future version of me, the one that's with her. Because he's kind. Because he's kind and he's having a ton of fun. I think my biggest mistake in relationships, and maybe in life as a whole so far, has been overestimating my own ability to change myself. I get so focused on the future, who I think I could be or should be, that I totally miss whatever's happening in the present. The happy and fun guy who could be in a great and loving and healthy relationship with her is not who you are, moron. You are you now. It's such a simple, basic lesson, but it has been devastating to me. Whoever I might be in the future has nothing to do with whatever's happening right now, and it's definitely nothing to build a relationship around. I'm not the first young person to make mistakes because they didn't know themselves. It's just really, really frustrating when all the pieces of the puzzle seem to fit so well together and make such a beautiful picture, except this one piece that is the reality of you. The unchangeable reality of you. I knew you couldn't count on somebody else to change in a relationship. When you're loving someone, you're loving them for who they are right then in that moment. I thought I found a loophole if I'm the only one who needs to change, because I'm in control of that, right? Just a little change and it'd be good for me. But no. No. You can't trick love. My room is empty and echoey. And I have to talk quietly because one of the cool things about this house is that everyone can hear everything that's going on from any room in this house. And when I say that's one of the cool things about this house, I mean that is one of the horrible things about this house. Today is moving day. Everything's packed up in the truck, and melancholy day. I think the feeling of an empty room that you've spent years in is really strange. Hard to describe. I felt it many times though. We have had a couple visits, I think, between the last time I filmed. We had a long trip together, got a lot of together time, which was good. And I still feel really good about our relationship. I feel really strong 90% of the time. And then there's 10% where I panic. I think I self-sabotage sometimes. And things will be going great. But it seems like my mind is always looking for any little thing or any little reason to be afraid, to think she is not everything that I know she is. It's the little smallest things. It can just be an expression that she's making. And I realize, oh, we haven't spent that much time together. You know, we haven't had the time to get used to each other. And we don't know what that's like. A little bit scary. Because what if we don't like each other when we're at our most relaxed? But sometimes I wonder if I know who she is when she's not, like, trying, I guess. And I don't fault her for that. I just think it'll take time. I'm not scared of time. Time is my friend. I am saddled with both an intense and overwhelming desire to be loved and an equally intense and overwhelming instinct to protect myself at all costs. Probably childhood trauma stuff, but I don't want to. Let's not get into that right now. My knee-jerk reaction to things going well is to start wondering what might be going wrong. There could be one bad thing in a pile of 99 good things, and my brain will latch on to it and won't let go for days. If you're like me, take comfort. You are crazy, but you're not alone. And it gets easier. I used to think that my panic meant that I was with the wrong person, but I reject that now. Panic is a part of my process, and I forgive myself for that. Recently, I've learned, however, that the panic can lead in different directions. The first, and the one that I've experienced the most, is dread. My thoughts spiral and create a rock and a hard place to stick me between, where either we continue in the relationship and it ends in a miserable marriage with this person, or we break up and that's really painful too. That's the dread route. That's where my relationships have usually ended. But I've recently discovered a different place for the panic to go. Anger. It surprised me at first. I don't let myself get angry very much. So why am I getting angry with this person that I love? Well, I think it's because I love them enough that the idea of it not working makes me angry. I don't know. Maybe I've just gotten tired of living in my sad music video and I'm ready to be happy and fight for that instead of crawling into my dark, damp little cave. Panic is what I feel when I'm out of control. Maybe anger is what I feel when I take more responsibility. And maybe that anger can be more constructive. So today is August 2nd, 2023. I'm in my new room in New York City, which is pretty awesome. This thing was dripping down the wall when I moved in the first few nights. So that was a pain, and I had to figure it out. Take it all apart and put this tube in going out the window. It was a whole thing. Very warm welcome to the city. I broke up today, this morning, because of a lot of stuff that happened. I think I had my doubts, as I've expressed. Small ones over the last 6 months. It was our 6-month anniversary on July 29th, sorry. But they would come in small waves, and I had more bigger waves of like, no, this is confidence. This is good. This is gonna work. And fun. And then moving here, living here near her, getting to go on dates, be around each other and around each other's families more. It quickly transitioned to big waves of this isn't going to work and very small waves of confidence. And how could you know? Until you get here. I thought that long distance was cool because we got to know each other emotionally before we got to be in each other's physical presence, but turns out you can make letters give you, my brother said letters show you how someone else sees themselves. And that's what I got, and I love that. I love her, everything I learned about her from her letters. We got to go on fun trips in person together, fun kind of vacations, where there was so much fun happening. I think we didn't quite see what was going on with each other. And then moving here, it's just different. It's just different. Dating for real, close by and having access to each other and doing little stuff. We did a lot of fun stuff this last month here. But my feelings were kind of cooling off. And I realized there were some things that are important to me in a relationship that I wasn't feeling with her. I love my room, by the way. It's awesome. Super peaceful. So yeah, it's like, I'm really sad for her. She was crushed. I don't feel crushed. I think it's because I knew it was the right thing. And maybe I had more time imagining it before she did. But I just know I'm not going to be able to love. This is what I told her. I know I'm not going to be able to love and cherish her forever as well as somebody else could in the way she deserves. That's honestly how I feel. She really loved me well and enjoyed me. Don't think she understood me fully. I don't know. I don't think anybody will. That's a lot to expect from someone, but she really loved and cherished me, and that is also what makes it hard. So I'm not sure if there's something wrong with me. If I need to not date, if I need to not be in a relationship, if this just is going to happen every time. In my heart, it's kind of crazy and stupid because she really loved me. But I just couldn't enjoy her like she should deserve. So, yeah. I was wrong. Lesson learned. And it was painful breaking up with her. I know she'll be happier. Somebody else, I'll be happier too. If I find anyone, but honestly, when it gets to the point that you're willing to risk the eventuality of being alone forever, for the rest of your life, and that risk is worth it to you rather than staying in a relationship, then I think that's how you know you shouldn't keep going. And that's how I felt. And I'm not alone. I have my family I love so much. My nephews I love so much. New nephew on the way, hopefully, or niece. I don't know. But just like life has gotten so sweet, and I'm not a teenager anymore, so I feel less, and I feel so much less of those crazy hormones and like the intense loneliness. So anyways, maybe I'll meet the perfect person. Wow. Maybe not. Best not to attach myself to someone for life that I am going to slowly kill internally because I can't appreciate them like they should have. I'm a weird guy. I don't understand myself. I wish this was more of a dramatic ending. So what did Alec learn? Alec learned I have a lot of love energy to give, but I need to be really careful about giving it to someone before I've gotten to know them better. That's a pretty basic lesson, but I thought I had a really good sense of who she was, and I think I did. And so I just let loose poems, songs, letters, and that messed her up, I think, because it was too much. And now that I had to pull the plug, it was like crushing. But I just don't know any other way to fall in love, quite honestly. But I'm going to be more careful. This was a story of young love, which is beautiful, but in the end, so stressful. If I find love again, it will be slow and patient, and will take a while. That's okay. I'm in New York City. Yay! Yeah, I think I'm going to marry this person. Pretty sure. And I'm pretty sure I love her. Obviously, those things go together. But, like, you can only love someone truthfully, I think, as much as you know them. But you can guess a lot of things about someone and love all those things. And if you guess right, then I think you can be truthfully in love with someone right when you meet them, if your sense about them is correct. And I am pretty confident that I've guessed most of everything, and I'm in love with all of it. I was wrong. That's the end of that story. I picked up some good lessons and some not so good wounds. I edited out some parts, some redundancies and details, and some things that were just too cringe for me to put out there. But that's okay. That's how our memory works. We tell ourselves the story in a way that highlights its usefulness in our lives. We leave out the parts that don't fit into the overarching theme, and we condense our memory into what matters for our future. This may not be exactly how all of this went down, but it's how I'm going to remember it, and I wanted to share that with you. I think we do the same thing when we fall in love. We tell ourselves stories that make all the pieces fit together in a way that makes sense, and then we surrender to it. We may leave out some inconsistencies, some plot holes, some loose ends, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's natural and healthy when it's right. Telling ourselves stories is how we survive. It's how we stay partnered up with one person for a lifetime, despite it feeling like the whole world would rather that didn't happen. And it's not a lie. It's faith. It's believing something that very well could be true, for all you know. It takes some humility to surrender to a story, but I'm happy to share that I'm in a new story now, if you hadn't already guessed. And I think it's a pretty good one. It's been a bit difficult to regain my confidence after having been so wrong, as you saw. But in a way that's kind of helped me have some more self-awareness this time around. And God knows I need more of that. A lot more of that. It feels different this time. I wonder if it feels different every time, or if this time it's feeling the way it's supposed to feel. It's hard to know, but I'm going to go with the story that it's right this time. I'm happy with that. And I saw the sunrise on my birthday this year, so